Hello there, TNA fam, and welcome back to the episode podcast where we are here to review TNA Final Resolution. Yeah, okay, what a show this was. I kind of want to talk about the new guys and whatnot that are coming in and whatnot because it's really interesting. But I guess I'll have to go from the bottom to the top, as we always do. There's always some interesting stuff. There are some parts that I do feel like, well, I wish that they would pull the finger out a little bit more, or what have you, whatnot, and have something a bit more going on, or whatever. But it is what it is. At least there are some things to talk about and whatnot, and yeah, we'll go through it. So first up, the match between Cedric and Eric Young. This one, wow, I was surprised in some ways by the fact that it went the way it went. Dude, like serious, like I was like, dude, this. I was surprised. I was thinking, oh man, maybe Eric will win. you know, this is a fine match, between these two. Uh, but Cedric pulled out the win here. And as I said before, I said, oh, I kind of feel like the pre-show, countdown show, whatever you want to call it, is a bit short. And, well, this is where we got our first, little bit of a surprise, what have you, glimpse into the future. There's a few more glimpses into the future. But yes. I was surprised as well that Cedric won with a brain buster. I was like, why didn't he win with his finishing move, or what happened there? Like, that was the most confusing thing. But whatever. In that one, but yeah, whatever. Gia Miller was interviewing Leon Slater backstage, who is confident against AJ with his title match. So the system decided to come out and have an open challenge for a 6-man tag team match because JDC is retiring. They're looking for somebody to fill that slot. And I actually have a video that I've recently produced, or am recently producing, that I was going into a list of a few people that I thought, could they join TNA? Like da who's out there, who would fit, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So nearly everyone that I went through and thought, oh, maybe they could. I think I actually mentioned one of these guys, but I don't know whether I did. I can't remember now, but I didn't really think about most of these guys. Let's say that. So it was, where am I? I can't read where I am. It was, where are we? C.W. Anderson. Where am I? Brock Anderson, sorry. I'm losing place in reading this because I can't remember who it all was. And Bear Bronson. Now, I've know C.W. Anderson, and I've heard of Brock Anderson, kind of, because he's Arn's kid, right? So, yeah, I've kind of halfway heard of him, but I haven't really seen or really known much about him. But C.W. Anderson, I remember him from, ECW, dude. I saw him in ECW wrestling. That was in 06, wasn't it? I think that was 06. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, in the second, I'm pretty sure it was the second ECW One Night Stand. Pretty sure. Anyway, so yeah, that was over 20 years ago now, dude. So that's crazy. But to see that dude is still wrestling, I didn't I think I went through that list. Maybe I think I talked about him, but I can't remember if I did, because I think I might have said, oh, he's still wrestling, and then moved on, because I was like, no way this dude's doing very much. He's probably retired or halfway retired, because he's out there for 20 odd years, dude. That was 20 years ago. But yeah, cool to kind of see him, and he's kind of like a mentor to Brock Anderson. So that's kind of cool. They're like an established team, the Andersons and whatnot. So that's kind of like old school style stuff. Like they're the Andersons. They're not really the Andersons, but they are the Andersons. Whatever. Bear Bronson, have never heard of him, never seen him, don't know him from a pogo stick. So. But he made an okay impression tonight, I think, as well. So that was kind of cool to kind of see that. There was something else that I do want to talk about, but it kind of all culminates together at one certain point. So I think I might talk about them all at the point that they culminate. I don't know, but anyway, the System get the win here in an all right match, but. TNA Final Resolution starts with the match between Mike Santana and Charlie Dempsey. This match would be almost what I think would be a match between Santana and William Regal. Any match that you have Dempsey in there, you basically just say it's a match between whoever and Regal, effectively. So because he's basically doing the same shtick as his dad. So. Pretty surprised with this one. Like, I was kind of like on the fence of thinking like, okay. And I didn't think that this would be the opening match as well. Like, I was like, this is the opening match? Okay, whatever. Like, I was not expecting this to be the opening match, but whatever. Still, like, I think I was really surprised because I was like thinking, oh, what is this like overall all about or whatever? Like, what's it all about? God, I don't know. There's a lot to go through. There's a lot of like I said before, you can't have too many guys getting too many wins on either side. You've kind of got to keep it even to some extent. So I was like, okay, who's going to set the tone kind of with this? And I was surprised that Eddie, I was about to say Eddie, was Mike won this one in some way, especially with that hurt arm, but I think that's going to start like derailing him maybe in some way, in some regard. So he's going to have to find another way to kind of win matches without that spin the block. It's not like it's the best finisher in the world or whatever, but it's like, yeah, it's been his finisher for a while, especially during this main event run. But yeah, you do need, and I do think a lot of the time, when you think like, there isn't such a thing, quote unquote, as a finisher, in my opinion. Like, in many ways, like, you always have your signature moves, but anyone can always kick out of your signature moves. So it's whatever combination wins the match that is your quote-unquote finisher, not your finisher. It's never what it is. It is whatever you just happen to finish the match with, so. But whatever, this is cool in many ways to see, whatever. During an interview, Frankie Kazarian promises victory over JDC tonight. Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford take on the Inspiration. They came down to the ring with Robert Stone. I was sort of surprised they kind of have had this on again, off again relationship or whatever. You start thinking, well, maybe they're the ones that let the NXT guys in. So there's a little like snippet there. I don't know, but maybe, you never know. Ash Elliott joined the commentary team here, and I found it really weird having her on commentary throughout this match because, like, she's like, yes, you've seen her like as a real person or not as her in-ring character or what have you here and there, but she was more of her like real life self here rather than her on-screen persona. And I felt like it would have, like, if you're on screen, that you, like, maybe you're thinking she's transitioning into this other role, but, like, she's been with the Elegance brand now, like, being, like, not the third wheel, but she's still like in that faction or what have you, and that's still a heel faction at the end of the day. So I kind of felt like if you're on screen, that you should be that somewhat at least that heel character, but it was, her as her more or less, I guess. So, or more of a babyface pitch of it, which kind of threw me off during this match. I was like, it'd be I like every time that she was talking, I was feeling like every time it would be so much better if she was like being a bit not a bitch, but I don't know, being a bit dismissive or whatever, and saying like, yeah, give people their props sometimes or whatever, but like, kind of being like, a little bit heelish about things, especially like the fact that the Elegance brand lost to the inspiration and whatnot or whatever, all of that stuff. Um, wasn't too surprised with this one, and like, yeah, I said this before. It sort of sucks right now, and like even if they had have changed the titles and the inspiration had have won, I feel like, well, so what? Like, so what? And the division is a very much so what division. And they proved that yet again by just like, well, we've got nothing for you. Like, there's no other teams debuting, or there's no other like things happening. So, okay. That's what I mean. Like, this is what you kind of need to do. You kind of need to be like, before, like, and that's why I said, I think besides the TNA tag titles, the NXT guys have won just about every title in the company, or an NXT person has won every other title. So these titles haven't been won by an NXT person. So it would be great in some ways, in some forms, at least if you can't rely on your own roster again, which again, like, I hate having to rely on the WWE roster or whatever, but like, it is one of those things of saying, well, you can utilize them, bringing them in and getting, some of these stories together. At least it's something, I think. But yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Up next is the BioFlex injury report. Santana status is undetermined after suffering torn UCL. Leon Slater is cleared after suffering bruisings. Danny Luna is suffering a concussion. That's going to be interesting with what's going to be happening. I think it's this week, I believe. Matt Cardona is cleared after suffering a contusion. Director of Authority Santina Marella asks TNA and NXT liaison Ariana Grace for help in the ongoing investigation into the NXT Outlaws. So that's their new faction name, the NXT Outlaws, apparently. So whatever, cool, great. They have a name now. All right, up next, Matt Cardona versus Mace Water. What a violent match this was. There wasn't a lot of blood or whatever, but it was pretty darn violent here. And I feel like a bit miffed with this. I kind of do, because like, I feel like Matt is a Johnny come by, kind of guy, where he's playing like hokey pokey with TNA a lot. Like, he's really only there for like some of the bigger things that are going on or whatever. And like, that you can do that. That's fine. I get what the business is. It's about getting your bang for your buck, so to speak, as a guy, and especially when you're in those certain circumstances. It is like, you've got to try to get your bang for your buck. But now, I wanted to see Mace win, dude. I really wanted to see Mace win, because I felt like, oh man, this kid, he's got like a bright future and whatnot. Like, you still do stuff with him. It's not like he's buried yet, but it's like you're starting to be like, man, he can't beat this guy, what's going on? Like, this guy's, like, this guy is not over the hill, so to speak, but, it's like, you know, he's getting into that space of, like, well, really should be putting over the younger talent, and he's not that young, but still he's younger than Matt, and he's just got a bigger future ahead of him. So, but then again, can always say, well, he's got a bigger future ahead of him, so whatever, you can still do stuff with him down the road. And I hope that, like, in some ways, you almost hope that this isn't the end of it, because it's like, you kind of want to see the young guy, at least I do, I don't know. I think, like, the fans probably don't. The fans are probably like, yeah, whatever. We don't care. We just want to see some action or whatever. But great match, especially I did like the finish. I thought the finish was, like, fairly creative with the like, present wrapped doors and whatnot, and that. I liked some of the, sing-songing of the, Christmas carols theme throughout some of this. That was kind of cool as well. Yeah, and I like the radio silence, like, into the door. That was kind of like a cool spot empirically, it's like a cool spot. Like, but just for me to be like, oh man, I saw a lot of potential in this kid, but now it's like he's starting to slip into just being there and just another face in the crowd. That's what I don't want for him. I want him to feel like this kid's going somewhere and this kid's got a future. He's not just another peon that, oh well, he'll slip into the mid card or whatever else, or even the lower card, and then just be forgotten about. So, up next, a very emotional JDC prepares to challenge Frankie Kazarian for the world title tonight. JDC wants to face his close friend Eddie Edwards in his final match at Genesis. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I said this in another video here that I was like, oh, it'd be cool. Like, this is why I'm saying all this stuff with what's his name here. It's like, oh, it'd be cool to see Mace and Eddie, because he's beaten both of his, like, he's beaten Callahan and then he beats JDC, and then it's like, oh, okay, I'm coming after you next, boy, or whatever type thing. That's what I wanted to see, but yeah, it's not happening. So obviously, I don't know what Mace is doing. Probably some random nothing or whatever. So again, that's why, again, you're feeling like, oh man, they've just really deflated this kid, and he is, like, now falling into the background, and he's no longer special or whatever. Like, he's been on the downturn for a while, kind of. He hasn't really been featured or hasn't really done anything or hasn't really been... Like I said, I thought, like, him getting the quarter shot would have been cool or whatever. But, like, again, they didn't do that. But that's, like, you can still do stuff with him. And this could have been something, like, a little bit of a stepping stone for him to be like, I beat another big-time guy, and then go ahead and beat somebody else, like, then you're starting to feel like, oh, he's got these big-time wins and whatnot. So, he's going somewhere, not just, oh, okay, they don't know what they're doing with him, or they, whatever. Or maybe they have something planned later, I don't know, but still, it does feel very much like, oh, man, this was the time to pull the trigger already. So, and you've kind of, like, been slowly, like, dragging him down, so I don't know. Alright, next, Macklin versus Stax. Well. This match started off hot and fiery, and when, you have someone, like, on your outside, your manager, your heater, so to speak, you're either obviously, this is everything. Every match is 50-50, obviously. But when you have a heater, either the babyface is overcoming you and your heater, or the babyface is losing. Like, it's always very simple, but it's like they always fall prey to the heater, so to speak, or prey to some of the shenanigans. And unfortunately, Macklin fell prey, and he couldn't defend this title for us. I don't blame Macklin or whatever, because this is, again, it's a storyline, so this is what they've planned out. So Santana, earlier in the night, got the win, which actually I think was kind of, like, in hindsight, I don't know whether that's the right call, I don't know, like I said before, it's like, you could say either way, but this one, I think this is, if they're gonna run it for the next 6 months, or whatever, 8 months, whatever, year, whatever it is, until whenever it is that they decide, okay, this is the time to do it, Slammiversary, Bound for Glory, whatever it is. Maybe, this is the right decision, I think. I think that the story that you can tell is going to be really good. That's the thing, though. The story that you've told wasn't compelling enough for me to believe that this was where you were going with this angle or this story. You know, so that's the one thing that trips me up in saying that this was actually like, you know, pieces coming together and felt like this is the culmination of like, they're going to win the title. He's going to win, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, it does feel like the heels often have that thing of like, you can never believe that they're going to win or whatever in some regard. But the thing is, you almost always have that sense in your mind that if somebody's going to win, you know, because they actually do put effort into those things when somebody's going to win 9 times out of 10. But even when somebody's going to lose, there's a lot more effort put in. So I just felt like the story that had been told hadn't been to that level of like, oh man, these guys are going to win or whatever. I felt like one or two of these matches, maybe they could win or whatever. But like this one, I was pretty much like, I don't know. Maybe he could win. I don't know whether he's like the faction leader or whatever, whether there's a faction leader, I don't know. But now you're sort of like almost putting him as the faction leader. I think Lexus King is almost like the faction leader, but I don't know. It's tough to say, isn't it? But yeah, I think this is a good start to this in some ways, but like I said this before in the video, it's not what you do, it's like how you go from where you are to where you're going next. It's like what you do next. And if WWE says, oh, sorry, you know, we've changed our mind, whatever, you can't have these guys for the next couple of months or whatever it is that we said that we'd send them over for or whatever else it is. We need them on our shows or whatever else it is. So, you know, they're just going to drop the title at the next available time to whoever it is, blah, 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 see you later, bye. You know, and we'll talk to you about some other random stuff, whatever. Cool, bye. You know, like, that's what I want them to avoid. I do not want them to hot potato these titles. I'm sick of the hot potatoing. I'm just, like, over all of that. I want them to be, like, solidly, this is what we're going to do for the next few months, you know, and then it's going to culminate at a certain point down the road, whatever, and then, boom, cool. We're off to the next thing or on to the next thing, whatever it is, and then we're going to go from there. So that's what I want to see. I don't want to see them, like, in the next month or maybe even the next 2 months be like, oh, sorry, bye, you know, that sort of thing. So, and your new international champion, Stax. They actually said his, like, full name in the intro, but I didn't really catch it. So whatever, I don't know. Yeah. Backstage, the Hardys are interviewed and say they vow to remain the champions against Tyson and Tyreek. Lee takes on Xia Brookside. This was decent. Very decent thing here. I think the only reason that I wasn't as happy or like up for this was like a dozen reasons, but it was like the fact that this was like a fairly slow burn to kind of start with, and it didn't really like pick up ever kind of thing for a lot of like the early parts of the match, and even like the mid to end part of this match didn't really pick up a whole lot. Like it certainly picked up in spaces, but it wasn't ever feeling like I said, like Xia was gonna win. So I was just like tuned out through the whole thing. And I said before, like I felt like Xia would be the one selling throughout this match. And guess what? I was right about that. So it was like, yeah, for like me to start, or somebody to start investing and being like, holy shit, this kid is gonna win. She's got to be the one, somehow countering everything, somehow getting in the offense, somehow always, on top of whatever else it is. There wasn't a lot of that. There was a little bit of it, but it wasn't ever enough to make me feel like, yeah, she might win. I was just like so tuned out because I was like, this is Lee's first defense. She's not losing it. Unless you show me in the match and you're like you're dominating Lee and at every turn or whatever else it is and whatnot, and making it feel like, oh shit, she's so close every single time, she's so close, she nearly got her, she nearly got her again and again and again. Well, it's like, nope. And you do feel like, oh, maybe she could come back or whatever, but there's like, when you have another babyface that you're going up against, when it's like they're not fighting for some justice or some like, reason or redemption or whatever else it is, it's like hard to get behind the other babyface. So because it's like, I can't root against her or whatever because she's good too or whatever in some way. So like you're trapped between going, like you almost have to pick a favorite, and since I don't really have a favorite, it's like, oh, okay, whatever, it's whoever wins, whoever's the best woman, and it's going to be Xia because she's just freaking won the belt. They're not going to change it, hopefully at least. But anyway, Lei and Lee retains. They have a bit of a promo after the match with Gia Miller, and Lei says she has a lot of respect for her partner, and she showed that she was a real warrior tonight. But then Danny Luna attacks both Lee and Brookside from behind, but Indy Hartwell comes out to help fend off Luna before a wild security brawl pulls them apart. That was a crazy brawl. Absolutely crazy. So I said this before, you kind of teasing this thing, and I'm going to just say it now before I think it's revealed a fair bit later down in the card. But they're going to have another match between Danny and Indy, which is a dog collar match. So, okay, and like it's on TV on a random episode. Why? Like, really? Why? Really? You're like, if you had have said, okay, cool, we're going to have one more match or whatever else it is with these two, this dog collar match. Okay, cool, great. It's going to be at Genesis. Awesome. It's going to, like, versus being on TV. Okay, cool. Now you've lost me. You've lost me. Yes, they've had a lot of build-up with this feud, but, like, this specific match doesn't have the same level of like build up and like stakes and things for me to be like, okay, cool. Whoever's gonna win is gonna win. And like, I kind of now feel like maybe Danny will win because like you've got Lay as the champion. You need to build up more heels to face her. Unless you're going to turn Indy Hartwell heel or something like that, then it's like, well, why are you going to give Indy the win? Like, seriously. Especially, like, if it's just on TV, and then you're going to say, okay, well, now Danny gets a title shot against Lay at Genesis or something. Okay, great, cool. That will solve me feeling like, oh man, this match probably should have been at Genesis or something. But then you would have felt like, oh man, well, who is Lay gonna fight at Genesis? Type thing. Then it's like, if you have it be against Danny, at least like you've got a little bit of something there, not a whole lot, but a little bit of something. She's attacked her in the past, like at the show specifically. So like at least you've got something, and then she's beaten like somebody, and then maybe she beats Zaya or something, or she beats Zaya and Lay with a tag partner. I don't know. I don't know, but whatever, something. Backstage, Stacks celebrates with the NXT Outlaws with the for his TNA title, international title victory. And they say, hey, Tyreek and Tyson, you're going to win the tag titles. Go and whoop the Hardys. Which isn't a match for another couple minutes, 20-something minutes. This next match, the Rascals versus Order 4. Can I say with this match as well, one of the coolest things with this match was Agent Zero, honestly. He did some impressive stuff a couple of times in this match. That kip up, that was very impressive from a 6-foot tall plus person. And he's 300 something pounds. I know Moose can do that, but we've never seen this kid do that. So that's pretty impressive to see somebody, very few people that size can do something that athletic. So that was very cool to see. He's ripped to shreds. So, but yeah, there was some really cool bits and pieces that he got to showcase himself. I said in a recent episode, it'd be cool to see some more from this guy and see what he's got. So I would like to see, what more he can do, because it is tough, I think, because I do think that he would work, or he works better in a tag team or in a tandem where somebody else can handle one role and he handles the other role of just being the big machine that comes in and wrecks, and then whatever. Another really cool thing in this was when the Rascals he demolished the Rascals early on in the match, and then later on in the match they all took him down together, which was really cool. A lot of the focal points of this match was Agent Zero, which was really cool. I really liked seeing that, the big dive. I think to the outside it was, or no, they dived on him on the inside, and he caught. I can't remember who he caught, but he caught somebody midair. There's a lot of people that do that, but it's it was worked out kind of well, and yeah, I think that went well. I was surprised with the ending, or the sort of the ending, I guess, where Mustafa Ali, I don't know why he left the ringside area. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense, but his team was kind of losing-ish, and the tide had kind of turned. So I don't really know, but it didn't really feel like it made a whole lot of sense too much. But then Elijah's strum strung, and out came Elijah to attack Mustafa and tie him up with a rope and basically hog tie him away outside of the ring with his horse. I think I don't know whether it was the same horse that he used a few months back at the early part of this year in the same arena, or basically the same arena in the same area. So yeah, that was kind of a cool callback in some ways, but it was also like, wow, Elijah's back, and in some ways it's obvious they're going to feud Elijah with Mustafa, which, okay, like I said before, I kind of felt like with the Santana stuff, I felt like, oh, okay, we'll get back to Santana and Ali, which will be a really great feud, or another, return feud or whatever, and he'll get a title match, and he might even win the title. Who knows? Wait and see. It depends when it is, or depends how it's all built up or whatever. But I still feel like, I don't know, you could say that Elijah could be a great asset to the company, but certainly he is, but I don't know. I kind of feel like it is the same story in some ways for Mustafa. It's really tough because a lot of those guys that have kind of established themselves and can be a useful hand or whatever in some regards are like a lot older. So it's like you can't rely on these older guys. They need to be there, and they need to be there to... That's why I'm saying, again, with like Matt Cardona and Mace Warner, it's like you need to elevate these young guys, because these young guys are going to be here, they're going to keep wrestling for the next 5-10 years, whatever it is, and they're going to carry the torch soon. So you need to elevate them. You need to make them look good. You need to be like, every chance you get, this guy is the future. Like Mace Warner, he's the career killer. Start labeling him like that. He beat Callahan, then he retired somebody else or whatever. He put them out of action or whatever else it is. Those sorts of things. Those are the sorts of things that get somebody from middling around to kind of just getting to the next level. So actually, one funny spot that I want to call back out is when Tasha Steelz was like up on the apron, and Trey put some like lip gloss on to like kiss Steelz. And then he went over to kiss her, and he accidentally kissed Agent Zero's chest. I was like, oh no. And then, what was it? On commentary, they said, those aren't what you think they are. Inferring that he was kissing her boobs or whatever. I was like, oh. But yeah, that was funny. But yeah, the Rascals got the win here after a bunch of finishers. I can't even remember on the outside. It was Skylar. Yeah, it was. They hit Skylar with a flurry of bunch of finishers to get the win here. And that was crazy to see all those like spammed finishers. All right, up next, the Hardys versus TNT. I'm just gonna keep calling them TNT. I think they actually have a proper tag name. They actually said it, but they actually need to put it on here. Before the match started, a mysterious promo, "The Gods Walk Among Mortals," was shown on the screen, and Tyson and Tyreek got the advantage from attacking the Hardys from behind. This match wasn't very good, honestly. The Hardys, like I said this a bunch of times, the Hardys let this match down for the most part. And the outcome also kind of let it down, like I said. as well. Like, or I felt like the outcome let it down. If you were gonna start building to something again, I love the Hardys in some ways, but like it's time to move on. Honestly, I hate to say things like that because people take it the wrong way or whatever, but you need to move on. You need to give some of these young guys the chance to freaking carry the torch. And like, it's not like they're in a better place than Mace or a couple of the other people here, because like they can get their heat back because they've got an actual story going on, whereas Mace has just got like nothing going on right now. So it's like, oh, okay, well, he's just gonna fade into the background. Or you're gonna have to bring him back with something, and whatever, so that he can actually get to the next thing. But yeah, the Hardys retain here, so whatever. After the match, though, the lights go out, and we have a debut with the Gods Walk Among Mortals tag coming back out. It is the Righteous, Vincent and Dutch, who stand outside of the ring and stare at the Hardys. So we'll have to wait and see them, what they're going to do. Honestly, like, again, like, in some ways it's like very much so what? Because like they don't have much to work with. Like, I think I don't know. I think it would have been just better had you had these guys interfere in the match or whatever, or appear during or even before the match. I don't know. Something, or even after the match when the Hardys had lost, and then beat them up. Or even like after the match, same thing, just beat them up or something, attack them, or they already had the other guys basically get an attack in on them, and you're not going to come in as baby faces like to face like the Hardys, so you might as well align yourself on the other side, even if you're going to say, oh, well, maybe the NXT guys are going to be champions soon. Who knows? Probably not at this point, but wait and see. But it was kind of cool to see these guys debut. But again, I like when I saw the Andersons before, like, these guys weren't on my radar of like these guys could be coming in. And like, the problem of these guys coming in now is it's like, what are they going to do for a few months to build them up? And I hope that that's what they do, because like, I would rather see them built up and be like, they're part of this division, they're here now, whatever else it is. They're not just outsiders or whatever, but they can be heels, they can be assholes or whatever. I'm not really that familiar with their gimmick, specifically on the indies or whatever they've been doing and whatnot. But yeah, like, obviously they've been doing a whole lot for a long time and whatnot. We've seen Vincent before, back when Honor No More was a thing. I don't think we've seen this other guy in TNA Dutch. So yeah, I don't know. It's not Dutch Mantel. No, not that guy. Pretty sure he's basically retired. But yeah, so I do hope that they are going to build them up and not just, even if they're just going to be mid-card fodder guys or whatever. I don't know. Don't know what you're going to do with them. But even if that's what you're going to do, it's like, well, at least build them up a little bit with some of the other teams or whatever, so that at least like when they lose, it's like, oh, okay, cool, great. Not just like, oh, they're going to get a match next month. Oh, great. They're definitely not winning that then. Like... Anyway, Eric Young is backstage and says he will cleanse the disease from TNA wrestling. Violence is the only answer, he says. So, it almost sounded like violent by design. Interesting, in some ways. Final resolution continues. AJ Francis versus Leon Slater. Well, the coolest spot from this match, I think, personally, well, this is me. I think you could make a debate, maybe, was the spot where AJ did the moonsault and Leon super kicked him in mid-air upside freaking down. That was insane. Absolutely insane. I think the moment where he went over the top ropes and did the big play Slayer, which he does in almost every match with the GoPro, was kind of cool too. Obviously, that's a little bit like a move that he always does, but it is obviously very impressive. But I think that the move of the match, or the moment of the match, was that moment where he kicked him in midair. I can't remember who. I'm pretty sure it was Ricochet and somebody I can't remember in NXT that did this moonsault, like, and he super kicked him upside down in the midair, like, and everyone went mad for it. I hope everyone goes mad for this one, because that one was just as good, if not better, especially considering, AJ is like 300 something pounds or whatever the frick he is. He's a big man. I actually liked this match from not like the competitive sort of aspect. I liked it from a competitive aspect, certainly, in some ways, but I liked it from the aspect that this made you like feel like, oh man, Francis is gonna find a way to win. He is gonna beat Swan, or not Swan, Leon, for this belt somehow. Like, it wouldn't make any friggin' sense in some ways for him to be the X Division champion, to carry this title or whatever, really. Like, you could do it, but like, you've done that with a few people where it's like, oh yeah, you put the belt on them and they're kind of breaking the mold or whatever, but it's like they don't really fit in really with the rest of the guys. But it's like it can work, obviously, but it's like I felt like it wouldn't really work. It does depend on the opponents that you'd give him, but again, it's like there's basically no one in that division, so it's like, oh yeah, well, whatever. What's he gonna do with it? Like, type thing. But yeah, BDE comes down during this match to help even the odds with Swan on the outside, who was like being berated by AJ to use weapons to help him win. So BDE comes down to help, but he gets chokeslam for his efforts. Throughout this match, as I sort of said, Francis was berating Swan, saying, hey, hit him. At one point here, he's in the ring with, I think, the title belt, and he's telling Swan to hit Leon with the belt, and Swan's like, you won't win the belt. And he's like, I don't give an F, like, hit him with the belt, but Swan doesn't do it. Even the referee kind of looks at Swan and kind of can read Swan and turns around and not looks, while Swan decks Francis with the belt, turning babyface. And after the match, he helps hold up Leon's arm in celebration along with BDE. So Leon won the match here. Really cool, moment also was in this match where Francis thought he was out of range of Leon's 450, and much like, I think it was Bound for Glory, where Moose thought he was out of range, and Swan, he did the crossover, he did that big splash halfway across the ring. That was a cool spot too. So yeah. But yeah, Leon walks away with the title. As I said, my problem here is it's like, same problem for Swan. He's got nothing to do. He's got no one to face, and like, maybe you can pair him up with one of the NXT guys or something that'd be all right. But then it's like at a certain point you feel like he's got to lose that belt to somebody. I can't remember. I don't know that anyone from NXT has won the X Division title. Have they? The women's title, the men's main title, now the international title. So yeah, they haven't won the women's tag titles or the X Division or the men's tag titles either. So those are the titles that haven't been won by an NXT person yet. They do the promo for the dog collar match next. Ryan Nemeth comes out to remind us that Nick Nemeth could call his shot at any time for a title match. But he also calls out Mara Shade for the super kick and starts talking trash. But Mara Shade comes out, slaps him, and gives him another super kick. So, and he's also just wearing the turkey suit. Like, dude, you don't have to keep wearing the turkey suit, but whatever. It's kind of funny, I guess. Especially the gobble, 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 gobble in his theme music. But anyway. Here we go. The main event. JDC, saying, hey, why not? But what if, like, type thing. Why not me? And in this match, he puts up a really good fight. In this match, especially like in the closing minutes of this match, where he's in that chicken wing for a good long time, really long time. He almost gets out of it, but doesn't quite. He doesn't want to tap, but he passes out due to the chicken wing, and that's the end of the match. So he didn't tap out, he passes out and loses this match. So it is what it is. Post-match, though, the NXT Outlaws hit the ring and attack the System, who come down to console JDC. Lexis King was throwing around like lighter fluid and was about to set the ring mat on fire, but the Hardys, Steve Maclin and Mike Santana come in for the save, and it's a big pull apart brawl to pull them all apart and whatnot. Just before the show goes off the air, Stax hits his future father-in-law or father-in-law with punch, knocking Santino out, and TNA Final Resolution goes off the air. So he had been like claiming, hey, I haven't done anything wrong, blah blah blah, whatever. Now he's actually like kind of crossed the line, not just literally or metaphorically, but in another way metaphorically as well. Here, literally, by doing this. So yeah, we're still building this, I feel like, and now you've kind of had Tyson and Tyreek not get the job done. I don't think Lexus has had a match yet, has he? Who's the other kid too? Because I can't remember. There's another kid that's in here. And I can't remember who it is. There's like 5 or 6 of these guys, so it's like the tag team, Lexus, friggin' Stax, and some other dude. I can't remember. Besides Robert Stone, of course. But yeah, whatever. Yeah. So yeah. I do feel like Stax now, like, you're centering the story around Stax. And I said this before. I said, like, oh, you're, like, it does feel like the story, like, most of the story would be there to be, like, around Santino and Stax and Ariana and all of that sort of stuff and whatnot. So that it, like, my problem with that, though, becomes, like, yes, Santino wrestles here and there and whatever, but he's not an active combatant. You know what I mean? So it's like, yes, you can argue the same like points that I said before, obviously in that regard. That, but it's like, should he do that? Because it's like, well, why do that? Like, why have the guy who's like the not the just face of the company, but effectively the admin guy, effectively. But he is a former wrestler, so, well, I say former wrestler, but whatever. You know what I mean. He's a fairly inactive wrestler at this point. He doesn't wrestle very much, and I think like I don't think that should be his thing to do. In many ways, it shouldn't be it. Like if he's gonna get in the ring and wrestle somebody, especially at his like, I would say he's old, but like at his stage of career, it's like he's already transitioning into another role. You know, he's already, and he's more of a comedy piece anyway, and that's fine. You can have that comedy piece and him do his comedy bits and things like that backstage. He doesn't need to be in the ring. So I just don't see the point in like giving him the big win. Like, what are you going to do with that unless you're going to build somebody else off of him winning the belt? I would rather see somebody else you've already kind of built up win the belt or whatever and take it back off NXT. That way you're kind of like, I think again, I will say you've kind of put Macklin in that upper mid card area. Now it's either time to have him kind of like be the upper card guy that some guys get through to go to the main event. That, or he's like the lower like main event guy, again, sort of in that position where sometimes he'll get into that main event picture or whatever, but other times he'll be like the stepping stone for somebody to kind of like get into that place or whatever. I don't think you can keep, like, obviously it's one of those things like you're always a role filler, but like your role should always either be going up or going down, if you know what I mean. So if you're on an upswing, you're on that upswing. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be going back down until you're on that downswing type thing. You shouldn't just be up and down. You should be like feeling like you got knocked down, but now you're coming back up. You know, you got too high and now you get knocked down. You know, like it's a roller coaster. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're on a ride, you're on a journey, you're on a path of going. Suddenly there's a dip. Okay, but I'm on my way back. You know, I'm gonna beat this person. Oh shit, well, or I'm gonna look like I can beat this person or whatever it is. And then, you know, go from there. It's like, I'm on my redemption, da da da. Not, you know, or you lose a few matches and then it's like, oh, go away for a little while or something, or reinvent yourself or something, and then it's like, you know, comes back and wins. It's like, oh, you know, you've redeemed, like kind of redeemed yourself and whatnot. So now you're back in a better position, and now you're on, you know, a big high of like these. Like, here's the example, like Macklin loses to Josh Alexander, right? Then he beats Josh Alexander, right? Finally, for the first time in his career, then like he goes on a bit of a hot streak and wins the international title. Yeah, loses it to Kazarian, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then wins it back. Now you're like, this is another dip for him to be like, oh, he lost it to Stacks over here. So now you're like, okay, he's got to lose a little bit because he's going to lose probably the rematch or whatever. And then he's going to win down the road somewhere or something, you know, like he's going to get, maybe he's going to face Kazarian. I said that before. Like, even if he's like going to lose against Kazarian, at some point down the road, hey, I had a match with you for this that international title, and I never really got a rematch from you. Because you're scared or something, so you can start a story off of that, and then have him win here or there somewhere, and then have them face each other at some point. And at least then he's on a rise, and it feels like, oh yeah, he could win the belt, but then he doesn't. You feel like, oh, he's still that upper card kind of guy, and it's helping Kazarian kind of stack wins and still be relevant and whatnot, but you're kind of building Macklin back into that role of no, now he'll be the upper main event guy or whatever, and whatnot. So yeah, I think you've got to look at saying, well, what, not just Macklin, but same thing for a lot of people. Where are they going to be? Who, what level are they going to be at? So one match we do kind of know, I guess, or two matches actually, I kind of guess we know, is probable at least at Genesis, is the rematch between Macklin and Stax, and then the match between JDC and JDC and Eddie Edwards. So I kind of feel like if you're thinking about the Eddie Edwards JDC match, Eddie's probably winning. He's just got a better track record overall, and it's well, why would JDC win? What's the point of him winning in that match? You know what I mean? He's on the way out. Might as well give the win to Eddie so that Eddie can go and do something or have a story or have, whatever. I don't know. So that's where I'm at with that as well. But until they actually announce it, I won't really, or whatever, I won't really go too in depth with it, because it's they could do anything and change their minds or whatever. So anything could be on the table at that point. But now we're on the road. I think we're kind of on the road to two fairly big things: the debut on AMC and the Genesis pay-per-view, which is the one of the next nights, I believe. The next, I guess the other thing is that I think they said something about we will announce a bunch of the pay-per-views or a bunch of the shows that are coming up in 2026, probably at Genesis. We got to know a bunch of other shows at last year's Genesis too. So we're obviously going to be seeing a lot of that stuff at that time. And I did notice today as well, for reasons that the preview, the last preview, final preview episode that I put together didn't get uploaded or didn't get published until earlier this morning. So basically until the show was already live. So I don't know what the frick happened there, but it is what it is. Sometimes stuff happens. So, but yeah, I think that there might be a delay in that one, I believe, because I believe that the Genesis show, is on the 17th. I believe. Hang on. There. And the time that's on, I'm going to another event. I have to go to that event. So it might be that the review of the show is postponed just a little bit. Not that this one didn't come out a little bit later as well, but whatever. It is what it is sometimes, as they say. But yeah, we will definitely be here for all the stuff leading into Genesis. Obviously, there's going to be a couple weeks before the end of the year for end of year awards. So I'm going to start looking at match of the year and
wrestler of the year and all that sort of stuff, whatever. I don't think we're going to talk much about that or whatever too much here, but we might. Next year also, it feels like, I think that they might have they might be taping a whole bunch of stuff in the can to kind of broadcast early next year. So I don't know, but I don't know whether that's the case just before the AMC debuts. So it'll be a couple of taped shows, then the live show, then Genesis, and then I believe I think there's a taping just after that, and I think that there is a live show, I think the next week, I believe, and then a taping. It might be two lots of a live show on Thursday, and then a taping on Friday, and then another live show on, I think it's the next, like 2 weeks from then, Thursday, and then another taping on Friday. So I think that's what it's might be starting looking like, and that will be, like I said before, every other week. If it's live or whatever, it starts becoming like, oh, okay, this is a live show now. It feels more live, even if it's every other week. And maybe you'll get 3 weeks in a row or whatever, or maybe you'll get a month in a row here or there or whatever it is. But yeah, like, it'd be great to do more live. And they said that or Carlos specifically said that we want to be a live sports and entertainment property more so. And I think that's what the network was also kind of looking for. So, I know some people are like, oh, going live costs more money or is more complicated or whatever else it is. Yeah, sure, but also it brings in more viewers. It just brings and ad revenue and whatnot just pays for that sort of stuff. So that's how you get, when a live show is live, those things to work, because it's like, oh, okay, and knowing, okay, we've got, the same thing with like taped wrestling. We would have if we were live, we would have an ad now. So slow the action down. We're on commercial break, whatever. And then we'll get back to, when we get back to action, let's pick it up, So that's the same thing that you've got to do when you're actually live, and you've got to and when you're taped, you've got to perform like it's live, so that you get into that rhythm of like, okay, let's work it as if it's live, So, but anyway, yeah, that is that show for now, and we'll have to see where everything goes and what all happens and whatnot. But because, like I said, I'd be fine if Santino does challenge Stacks for the title and he loses, but I wouldn't be fine with him winning the title, because I don't think that's for him or whatever. I feel like it's for somebody who's like actively on the roster, and it feels like really awkward then if he is the champion, that he can book himself in matches or whatever else it is or whatnot. It would be just a hobnob of issues, and then it's like, well, who beats him? And then it's like he can just like keep rematching anyway. Why would you, why would you leave them alone, even if you've been beaten half to death? Like, and then it's like, well, it's just better for him to not win it. He could, you could say, oh well, he could keep booking himself in rematches, like whatever, but at a certain point he's got to realize, hey, I just can't get it done against this guy, whatever. He's beaten me out. Like, maybe it'd take more than one, but it feels like you could still kind of tell that story with one match or whatever. I couldn't beat him, and like, it's actually hurting my relationship with my daughter if I keep trying to fight him, but like, he did disrespect me or whatever else it was, and da-da-da-da. And disrespect TNA and da-da-da-da. So, like, this is something that he feels like he has to do, but whatever. You know, that's different from him like going out there and winning. I would feel like that's a bit much. It'd be better if it was a, proper active person on the roster, as I said. So we'll wait and see. So hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and hope you guys will join me again in another one.